Hello, everybody, and welcome to Calls. This is the 2022 CJ Cup Initial Research Show. Anyone who's followed me has known that I've been on Sung J M's bandwagon for quite a while. Results finally come through. He wins at TPC Summerlin at the Shriners Hospital Open. Just an amazing performance. Birdie barrage on Sunday. So, like a smart person, I didn't bet him. So, hopefully you all did. Took the advice that I, was giving and didn't pay attention to myself. I've been, kind of toting, beating the drum for Sung J for quite a while now. Certainly helped me in DFS, but that brings me to the announcements that live chat is open. So I want to know how you all did, or what you're looking forward to this week at the CJ Cup. Other thing being that all statistics are provided by Fantasy National. An amazing resource. It's going to make you a much better DFS player, better sportsbook gambler. Just go check it out. It's well worth the investment. And then lastly, as always, links to my social media are in the description. Follow me there. If any questions that you have, if you don't make it to the live show, or just leave a comment to the video and I'll get to it as quickly as I can. But with that out of the way, let's move on from the Shriners and look into the 2022 CJ Cup. And we're going to start with this week. They actually have the tournament fact sheet out, which is great because, excuse me, let me get my set up here and bring up chat. It's a good thing because this is a new course that they're going to. Last year, it was played at Shadow Creek in Las Vegas. We're still in Las Vegas. We are now at the Summit Club. This used to be played in South Korea at Nine Bridges. But due to the pandemic and everything, it got moved to American Las Vegas last year. And they're going to keep it here again this year at a course that has never been played before. In fact, it's a pretty brand new course. I believe it was in 2017. Yeah, Tom Fazio design in 2017. I think one of the biggest things that has jumped off the page for me, and we'll go through it all, it is a par 72 that plays to 7,400 yards, so you would think it is a long course. But remember, Las Vegas is roughly about 2,000 feet above sea level. So this course is going to play a lot shorter than that. And something else that has jumped out to me when I started doing some research, the area has been subjected to record heat throughout the summer. So what that means is it's going to be very, very dried out, which means very firm. So this course, I imagine, is going to play very fast and very firm, therefore making the course even shorter. So you have the altitude and the fast and firm conditions. I think this is going to play pretty short. However, there's no data to back that up because this course has never been used. So hopefully we'll find some things that we can kind of look into and see what insights we can gather. So it's going to be a fun week trying to figure out, another new puzzle to solve, so to speak, with a course that hasn't been used. The average green size is almost 6,600 square feet. So these are large greens, and at least by pictures, that looks to be accurate. I do know that they are pretty undulating. They're pretty slopey. We're on bent grass and cut very short. I don't think I've seen anything below a tenth. So these are going to be really, really fast in my estimation. Could be wrong. I really do think it's going to be really fast on these greens. There are 62 bunkers. There are only 4 water hazards, but it comes into play on 7 holes, and we'll go through that here in a bit. But a lot of that is a creek that meanders through the course, and mainly on the back 9. And I say it comes into play. We'll see how much it does. I've got my suspicions on how much it comes into play just because of altitude. I think guys will be able to carry things and so on. But again, we'll get into that. But technically, a creek or a body of water comes into play on 7 holes. The other thing that I kind of wanted to point out here, the golf course was overseeded last month with new ryegrass, and the maintenance staff was challenged by the PGA Tour to get it, it was challenged to get a PGA Tour quality in about 5 weeks. So whether or not they have succeeded, I don't know. Don't live in the area. Obviously, I don't have direct access to anyone that is working or is a part of the tournament. So if things aren't going well, that could cause a lot of havoc. I mean, again, as all we can do is assume that they've gotten it in PGA Tour quality, but it's something to definitely at least think about. So the main takeaways, it's been subjected to record heat, which means fast and dried out, firm, fast, large greens, some water, and it definitely doesn't play to the yardage it says on the tournament fact sheet. One moment while I reach and grab my Gatorade. So with that, let's take a quick look at the field for the CJ Cup. Now, the CJ Cup is roughly 70 golfers. Here it has 68, and then you have 2 that are blanks. I think it's 70. I'm pretty sure it's 70. 70 golfers. It's a no-cut event. So be mindful of that as we go through the week, especially in DFS. But your betting cards, the odds are going to be deflated because of an invitational style field, with no cut and generally the top players in the world. So treat this as a almost like a WGC in that regard. When looking at odds and DFS and such like that. So, a lot of the big names are here this week. I mean, I've got it, the last 36 rounds, in the last 36 rounds in the last 6 months. And you can see Louis, Rory, Victor Hovland, Answer, English, DJ, Scotty Scheffler. I mean, the big names are here. You have a few others that you might not think about, say like a Maverick McNeely, a Taylor Gooch. You do have a couple of Koreans, since this is, historically has been a Korean-hosted tournament, so they are bringing in a couple of Korean players that unless you're a big-time advocate and know a lot of international golf, which I admittedly don't, that you might know, but a lot of people don't know. But again, you'll have some people that you might not think of as the upper echelon. Someone like Brian Harmon and Mackenzie Hughes, Hudson Swafford. So there are the big names. The big names are here, but also guys that have either played well during the year or won a tournament or something to that effect. So keep that in mind. Again, I don't want to go too much into the statistics yet, being the research show and being a new course. I just wanted to show you that, when you try to hit the course breakdown, there's nothing there. Since the course hasn't, obviously been played. So in that regard, I don't want to do a lot of tournament history either. Because this course has never been played. Now, 2020, 2019, 2018, that was all in Korea. So I'm definitely going to throw all of that out. Now, 2021 was played in Vegas at a different golf course, so there perhaps can be some things to gather from that. I'm very hesitant to do so, but at least in a jumping off point in looking at research, it is something that is there. I don't know if I will use it. But it's certainly some data that it's available to me. So I'm hesitant to use any of that. Past course conditions, obviously this has never been played, or this course has never been played. So last year, Shadow Creek, and then you had 9 Bridges, So there's literally nothing to go on, which is going to be a fun puzzle to solve. So I went ahead and came to Pro Visualizer, and we'll go through this somewhat, I'm hoping somewhat quickly, but I also made some notes here for you all during the day today. And it's getting cut off there. Let's see. So, now I'm going to have to switch views. Give me 1 second. Go to Excel, transition. Here we go. That's what I needed. So, these are comments from the PGA Tour, from PGAtour.com. When you click on the tournament itself, you get several options. You go to tournament info, and then there's course. So this gives you some course idea and stuff like that. So I tried to take the pertinent information from the whole descriptions, summarized it, and then I'm adding my very shitty analysis based on that, based on say the Pro Visualizer here in the background, of other things that I think could factor in. So hole number 1 is a par 4 at 397 yards. PGAtour.com, so hopefully this will make sense. Anything after the ellipsis here is my shitty analysis. Anything before is from PGAtour.com's course info. So hole 1, par 4, pretty short, 397. Short, easy, very generous green. I'm just going to say it's perhaps drivable depending on wind and other factors. There isn't a lot of trouble on this hole, so perhaps it's drivable. But I mean, this tells you it's a birdie hole, short, easy, and very generous green. That's a kind of an easy way to kind of get accustomed to the course. Hole number 2 is a par 3, 190. It says to favor the left side of the green and par is a good score. I got nothing else. About sums it up. Hole 3, a 600-yard par 5. This says it's a true 3-shot hole. Avoiding bunkers gives a chance to reach in 2 green slopes from front to back. My analysis is, because there are 2 fairway bunkers that guard the fairway on this 3rd hole. If you're not in one of those, go, because there is no trouble by the green. Just go. Most guys are going to be going at this in 2. Is my assumption. In fact, let me see if I can bring this over here. Tee shot all. Nope. Okay. So I don't want to go through each individual hole, and of course this is getting cut off because of the web page view. Let's see, can I get that fixed? I think I can. Apologies, one moment. There we go. I can do something to that effect. So this is the 2nd hole, like we mentioned, favor the left side of the green. I don't have anything much more to add to that. Let's see. Now that's getting cut off, of course. I can't get that straight. Anyway, so let's go to hole 3, the one we just talked about. And hole 3, this is the par 5 we just talked about. Like I said, if you avoid these bunkers here, then it's just go time, because there is no trouble by the green. You do have one bunker that you'd have to avoid, but even so, yeah, I'm imagining most guys will be able to get up and down for a birdie. This is a true birdie hole, as long as you don't find the bunkers off the fairway. And again, this right here says 310. With the altitude and the fast and firm, I imagine guys will be able to hit it further. But these bunkers they just simply might not come into play, and so guys can just go for it. So I think that's how that hole is going to play. Hole 4, par 4, 432 yards. Again, no spectacular features of this hole. It says Hole 4, par 4, 432, must favor the right side of the tee. It's a narrow green with a false front. The one thing about this is that it looks like there are these bunkers here, it looks like it's one big deep bunker complex. It's very, very deep. It's very, very deep. So I imagine sand saves might be an issue if you're in the left bunker here. But of course, you can see here, favor the right side. I guess the biggest of big hitters can try to carry the bunkers, but I don't even know how much advantage that gives you. Considering guys will just have 130 here. Yeah. So it looks like it's just a complete, stay right and hit your approach shot. That's what it appears to be. Let's see. Hole 5. A forced layup par 4. So this is one thing I want to make sure if you're going to get some thoughts from other pundits and all that stuff, which I fully recommend you do. I'm glad that I am one source of information, but by all means go and get others, because it's your money, it's your it's your information that you're wanting to gather. I shouldn't be the only one. I know I don't just use my own self for information. I try to get as much as I can, especially since I'm going to be betting and playing DFS and all that stuff. Anyway, again, short par 4 with the pundits. Make sure they're telling you that not all of these short par 4s are drivable, because this one to me is not. Even though you only see 364, this is saying to a layup of 250. The reason why I say it's not drivable is that you have this bunker in the front. If this was, left or right, sure, I would say that it could be drivable. But you're either going to have to play a big fade in or a big draw in, and even then you're not guaranteed to miss this bunker. So I don't think it's going to be drivable. Hole 5, smart approach provides birdie to a narrow green from front to back. And again, my analysis is this bunker in the front prevents a drivable green. So if you have information that says it is drivable, or somebody says it is, take it with a little bit of grain of salt and make sure they know that there is a bunker in front of this particular par 4 that I think prevents it from being drivable. So when I first looked at the scorecard and looked at the yardages and such, it looked like there might be 3 drivable par 4s. I think there's really only going to be 1. So my first initial reaction was, hey, let's focus on, who plays drivable par 4s well. Don't think that's going to be the case this week. So we move on to hole 6, the other par 5 on the front 9, 612 yards. You do see here's the first hole with water. It will come into play on the right side of the approach to this green. PGAtour.com says left fairway slope provides extra distance. It's a risk-reward second with water on the right. So if you're able to land your tee shot about in here, about in here, because this is granted at like 325. If you're able to hit this left side, apparently it's so severely sloped that you gain a lot of extra distance. Think of Pebble Beach. What's that, hole 10? I think hole 9 or 10. That severe fairway that slopes. If you can hit it, you run for a while. It's I'm getting the same impression from that. And then I imagine guys will just go for this green and bail out left, because there's no trouble over here on the left. And apparently the green, I think, slopes from back to front. It doesn't say. So yeah, I think all of these par 5s are attackable. Spoiler alert. Again, I think just guys are going to play to the left and bail out left. Especially if there's a pin location left. Oh yeah, they're going to go for that all day long. Now, if the pin's in the back right, you might see some, kind of other, layup shots or something more conservative up to here. But even so, with that, I think this is a pretty easy birdie hole, possibly eagle with that left pin location. So you've had 2 par 5s. They look pretty easy so far. Hole 7, another par 3. No real danger, at least with water, but you see the green is very well protected with bunkers. Undulating sloped green provides chance to feed the ball to the hole. My only thing was bunkers everywhere, so you just have to be pretty precise. So something that I had to summarize is that hitting your yardage is so very important on this hole, because this green is slopey, it's undulating, where it gives you chances to kind of work the ball off some contours and feed it towards the hole. Someone like Jordan Spieth, who plays, who's artistically minded when playing shots or around the green or to the green. So one of the prop bets that you might want to think about is will there be a hole in one? I think yes. I think this is going to be the hole that it happens. It's a very short, 140 yards, par 3. I think there's going to be a hole in one here. I would take that prop bet if I bet prop bets. But as long as the guys are hitting their numbers, just because it's a par 3, I don't think it's going to play very, very easy. It's still going to play pretty close to par, but again, the only trouble are these bunkers. And with a slopey, undulating green, you're on the green. I think it's going to be a 2-putt par. Hole 8, long par 4, very long par 4. Again, not a lot of trouble that you can get into unless you absolutely roll into this bunker, which I guess could happen because the course is so dried out and firm and stuff. Of course, the longer you want to take this drive, more you have to carry on the left and so on. But long approach, long generous green. Simply, it's just a long and tough par 4. I imagine this is probably one of the harder holes on the course. Just requires a long, precise iron. That's what I got for you. But it says it's a long and generous green. So, yep. Hole 9, finishing hole on the front 9. Again, no water. Oh, excuse me. Here's this creek that I wanted to mention. It goes all along the left side of this hole, as you can see here. It doesn't look like it. It's kind of it's similar color to the fairway, which kind of frustrates me, but what can you do? So there's a creek running all along the left side of this hole, the 9th. Par 4, 448 yards, creek on the entire left side of the hole. Approach favors right side of the green and avoid the bunkers on the right. Sure, looks pretty, sums it up pretty well to me. Long, I don't think guys are going to have to worry too much about this bunker. A lot of guys will probably just carry this bunker and then just stay right on the hole. And you see here that the bunker is kind of back right. So, I mean, anything front is going to be okay. Yeah. I don't know how tough this is going to play. I mean, I don't know how much this creek's going to come into play, to be honest. I just don't see this as a very tough par 4. Hole 10, this is another one that's going to come and bite you. It's a very, very long par 4 at 513 yards. Hole 10, best opportunity at par sees approach favor the left side of the green. The only thing I would say is it seems tough, and a bunker is short right. Just favor the left. Favor the left with your long iron. So we've got hole 8 and hole 10 are 2 very long approaches. So that's something that I've been keeping an eye on as I've looked, throughout some data and gathering information on this course, is that you've got 2 approach shots that are deemed 200 plus yards. Now, whether they play that way or not, I don't know because of the altitude, the fast and firm conditions, and all that. But it seems like some long iron play will be key here at the Summit Club. But there's hole 10. I imagine this is probably the hardest hole in the course, just because of its length. Could be wrong. Might be a par 3, but it's a pretty difficult hole. I think par would be a decent score on this. I think so. Hole 11. This is the other hole that could be the hardest. You have a long par 3 at 239 yards with water on its entire left side and a little bit back, to be honest with you. It's just a long par 3 and water on the hole 11, par 3, 239 yards. Lake guards the left side of the green. Generally favor the front right. That's the prudent play no matter where the hole is. The only other thing I can add is it's a tough par 3. It's what I got for you. No extra insight there. I imagine par is a very good score on this hole. I imagine you'll see a lot of players in this bunker or bailed out over to here just to stay out of the lake. I could see where someone who likes to work the ball right to left could be in trouble here, just because of the fall off towards the lake. Just a tough par 3. Hole 12. This is the one drivable par 4 I believe there is. It is measured at 364 yards, but take a look at the layout. You have that same creek meander again along the left side of this hole, but you have to realize that this right here, where they're having this dot, this tee shot mark right here, this is only at 270. I can tell you, guys are good. I might be able to get it there at 270, maybe on a very good day. So professionals are going to be able to carry this bunker, maybe even carry this little creek here and make this drivable. I really believe this is a drivable par 4. Some guys who are risk averse, don't want to take that risk, will certainly hit, long iron, 3-wood, 5-wood, whatever, because it still only gives you a wedge, a 94-yard wedge in. But this is going to be a very a fun hole to gather some data on. The risk reward of laying up and then trying to get your birdie via wedge and putt, or if you're just driving the green. So hole 12, drivable par 4. So even PGAtour.com says it's a drivable par 4. Designed to play as the forced layup, obviously. My thing is, I've talked about it a little bit, creek is on the left side of the hole, but I think it's going to be an easy carry because of the altitude, the firm and fast. Again, 270 roughly will put you, 90% of the way into the bunker, a 270 carry. So, think about this, 300 will probably put you about out in here, and guys can hit it further than 300, especially at altitude. This is a drivable par 4. I don't see any way that it's not. So that might be something to take a look at as we go through the week. See if how well guys play a drivable par 4. Eagle rate might be something that's come up a couple of times. So that's hole 12. Hole 13. Another probably pretty difficult par 4. This time you've got that same creek that meanders along the right side of the fairway and then cuts the fairway right here to where your approach shot just has to carry that creek onto the green. So this is the one place where I think the creek could come into play, especially if you have a kind of a front left maybe or front pin location. But even then, I don't know how much it really is going to come into play. I think the creek, this is the one chance the creek will come into play, basically. Par 4, 479 yards. Approach must carry creek. Bunkers left and right protect a small green. And then looking at pictures earlier today and such, these bunkers are very deep. Again, I don't think they're obviously not Whistling Straits, Whistling Straits where the Ryder Cup was. It's not 16 feet deep, but pictures make this seem like they're pretty deep bunkers, so they could be difficult to play out of. So that I imagine this is a tough hole just because you have to be precise with your iron on one of the smaller greens on the course. 14, par 5. The first par 5 on the back 9 sees the creek a little bit on the left, but that would have to be for a professional, a really bad tee shot. Just to completely lose it left in order to hit the creek. Again, they're showing this as a 3-shotter. I don't think any of these are really true 3-shot par 5s. I think they're all able to go because they're showing a layup of 285, which it seems like the fairway might narrow. But even so, it's a 270-ish, 273, I think, fairway metal into a green that has only that's real trouble is left. So, even if guys are short, they're going to be fine. Even if they're right, they're going to be fine. So I don't see the upside of laying up. I really don't. And then hole 14, drive must be to the right. Going for 2 forces the creek in play. I don't know how I feel about that, really. It comes into play over here on the left, but that's going to have to be a pretty bad shot for it to come into play. I don't see it. I don't know how I don't see that on this hole, even though that's what PGAtour.com is saying. I just don't see it on this hole. Anyway, drive must be right. Going for 2 forces creek in play. Green is undulating, sloping right to left, so sloping this way. I think this is an eagle hole, to be honest with you. If guys are able to hit their fairway metals well, or hit it far enough to where they might have an iron in, I can see some eagles here. So, again, like I said, I just don't think this creek comes into play. So, this is definitely a birdie hole. I think eagles are possible. Hole 15, just a pretty simple dogleg left, par 4. Water doesn't come into play at all. It's, basically by the teeing area. It would come into play for me, definitely. But for the pros, it doesn't come into play. I think the only issue here, and this is right at 300, I think if the course is indeed fast and firm and ball travels in the air like it does in Vegas, these bunkers could come into play. So guys might actually do hit 3 wood or metal to get up in this area to give themselves that mid-iron approach of 164. Again, nothing spectacular about this hole. Just a bunker that guards front left. Hole 15, we have par 4, 464, bombs away, widest fairway, undulating green, slopes back to front. So they said it best, bombs away. So if guys think they can carry these bunkers, I think they might try it. But I still don't see anything out in, maybe the best is up into here, because they say it's the widest fairway. I imagine they're talking about this area here before the bunkers. So I don't know. Sure, bombs away, I guess. That's what they said. I agreed with it earlier today. So yeah. 16, par 3. Doesn't look like much visually. Long bunker that guards front and right. Back bunker left. Par 3. So hole number 16, par 3, 182 yards. It says unpredictable wind causes chaos. Sure, I don't know. Bunkers back left and front right. Front left is definitely the prudent play, no matter where the pin is. Apparently, the trick with this hole is that it sits in kind of a valley, and so the wind can be unpredictable down there or in the valley. Sure, there's no way for me to know. If you live in Vegas or have played this course, let me know, because I won't have a clue. But other than that, I mean, that just looks like a hit your iron to the green, 2-putt and go. Hole 17, par 4, pretty short par 4, 437. They're probably estimating a 3-wood off the tee. Definitely can't go left with this fairway bunker protecting. I could see some guys probably carrying this bunker, to be honest with you, the biggest of big hitters, D-Sham, DJ, all that. And if they do, they've got a little, flippy wedge in here. Even so, even if you hit 3-wood or lay off the driver out here to the right, you're still only you've got 147 in. So I don't see much to this hole. Hole 17, par 4, 437, uphill hole, favoring the right side, aiming left with the approach. They did make it a very specific point on this hole that if you miss the green, no problem, it's an easy up and down. With that being the case, since it is uphill, you got to go favor the right on your tee, favor left on the approach. If it is indeed easy up and down, as they say everywhere around the green, and they made that point pretty clear. If you miss the green, no problem, easy up and down, then just flag hunt. If par is a generally a given score here, bogey only if you 2-putt from close, you're going to see a lot of. This is going to favor the best of the best iron players that they can just go flag hunting. So, yeah, that's what I have for you. Given if that is indeed the case, if it's an easy up and down everywhere around this green. Finally, hole 18, the signature hole here at the Summit Club, is a par 5. Looks back onto the Vegas Strip, I believe. Most of this course actually looks at the Vegas Strip in various ways: north end, south end, central, all that stuff. But this is the signature hole here at the Summit. Says again, Pro Visualizer is always going to make a par 5 a 3-shotter. This is not a 3-shotter by any means. Par 5, 574. You've got favoring the right side. The only reason I could see guys laying off on the drive is that this fairway, looks like it narrows up pretty good in between the two bunkers. But even if you go say 290 or even 300 up in here, that's leaving you with 260, 270 to the green with no water in play. Again, it's a par 5 that I don't think is a 3-shotter unless you obviously find the bunker. Hole 18, ultimate risk reward hole, elongated, dramatically sloped, humongous green. So this is the biggest green on the course. It's undulating. It's a fun green to end the tournament on, is how I'll say it. If there's drama, this could be a fun green. This will be a fun green to end it on, if it's very large and slopey and all that stuff. Reachable for most. My analysis, reachable for most. Long is okay, meaning there's no reason not to go for it. There's no trouble back here. There's no bunker. There's no real issues, I don't think. Again, I don't know how much room this is, but it looks like there's a decent, enough amount that just go for it. So that is a look at the Pro Visualizer course. I'm going to exit out of that. I'm going to switch to Excel view here really quickly. Actually, I know I'm on Excel view. My general takeaways here, general observations that I had while I was doing the doing the research earlier today. Just avoid your 3-putts. With these greens being very slopey, very undulating, very large, I imagine lag putting is going to be a very key factor this week. So avoiding 3-putts, since these greens are large and undulating and assumingly very, very fast, and if indeed the course is dried out, they are cut to as low as I've ever seen on a tournament fact sheet. They could play fast or even lightning fast. 3-putts are going to be pretty important, or to avoid 3-putts, I should say. Altitude with fast and firm conditions means course is a lot shorter than the yardage. Wedge play and sand saves are critical. Guys are going to have a lot of wedges in their hand. Again, because of the altitude, the ball is going to travel further. If you saw, most of the greens are protected in some way, form, or fashion by sand. So if guys are not hitting the green with their approach shots, you're definitely going to want to focus on sand saves, especially for the guys who are going to go for it in 2. I would not be surprised in the least if guys have the mentality of just going for it and trust their sand game to get them up and down for birdie or whatnot. So I'm definitely going to look at some sand play this week, and wedge play in general, but sand saves, absolutely, to see who plays well out of sand. Long hitters thrive, obviously, altitude. We looked at some of the, we looked through the Pro Visualizer. Carry, if you can carry these trouble, the bunkers or whatever, this is going to be an easy course, I think, for the long hitters. You got to take advantage of the par 5s. I imagine par will lose about a half a stroke to the field on most of these par 5s. There are a couple of eagleable par 5s. I think the first one, number 3, as long as you're not in the fairway bunker, going for it, completely fine. The longest hole in the course, hole number 6, it's an easy birdie. Maybe it's an eagle if that pin's on the left, like we talked about. Let's see, hole 14, eagle possible. Hole 18, it might not be the most eagleable hole just because of how large and undulating that green is. It says elongated, dramatically sloped, humongous green. So that might not be an eagle par 5, but it's certainly a birdie par 5. So you really have to take advantage of the par 5s. And then the last 2 things I kind of thought about, who's accustomed to the altitude here? So basically, who played this past week at the Shriners? Who is, used to having the ball travel like it does in Vegas and all that stuff. And the last thing is, I think this course is going to be pretty darn easy. Considering, the only thing that I think it could present problems if if it's so firm that guys can't control, the rollout on fairways, or if the greens are so firm they can't get the ball to stop. That could potentially pose some problems as I stutter through my words. But I think it's going to be easy. Having said that, I'm not going to use any filter. I'm actually going to close this out. I don't see... Let me switch back to the web page. I apologize. I don't see myself using any of the easy to par filters just because this course has never been played. Maybe they've set it up to be pretty tough. I don't know. I do know the rough is short. So might use a little bit there. But I'm not going to use any scoring relative to par. Definitely using, obviously, bent, fast, maybe even filter some on lightning. The one thing I am going to do this week, I'm actually going to use no cut. Because this is an invitational style field, I've never really messed with this before. I'm going to start playing around with this no cut filter and see who plays these invitational style fields the best. So look for that tomorrow at the Data Dive show. But again, this is kind of my first initial thoughts. I have favorited 43 players out of the 68 or 70. You notice that Kevin Nall's already withdrawn. The stars are the players that played in the Shriners this past weekend. So Louis, Victor, Abe Answer, English, so on and so forth down. All the stars here mean they played at the Shriners. So those are the guys who are at least should be accustomed to the altitude and the effects that it has. As we do on every initial research show, I think the first thing we kind of want to look at is probably just fast bent putting. I'm actually going to add the lightning just because of everything we've talked about, fast and firm and dried out and all that stuff. Another good thing is this week there's no real Corn Ferry Tour guys, so we just have data. We don't have to extrapolate any data from guys that played the Corn Ferry Tour or anything like that. These are just, it's an invitational style field, best of the best. So in the past 6 months, it looks like there's only been 25 rounds on bent. So I'm going to filter for the last 24, and the guys that had 25 cuts 1 round. In the last 24 rounds in the past 6 months on fast and lightning bent greens, remember I've got those 2 filters there, and then obviously bent. We've got Alex Noren is your number 1, quick bent green putter. Rory, Ricky Fowler, Tringali, and Abraham Answer are your top 5, followed by DJ, Cameron Davis, Eric Van Rooyen, Justin Rose, and Mackenzie Hughes are your top 10. On the other end of the spectrum, you got Ortiz is at the bottom, Henley, Matsuyama, Keegan Bradley, Paul Casey are the bottom 5. You see some pretty low numbers here. Let's see. Let's take a look at Alex Noren being the best fast bent green putter. Well, that makes sense because his best surface is bent greens by all means. You see the strokes gained putting. He's been very good recently, but he's historically been a very good putter. You see that here at the BMW, he gained 4.5. At the Northern Trust, he gained almost 9. The last time he lost strokes putting was at the PGA Kiowa. Excuse me, I just about lost my mind there at Kiowa. But even so, I mean, he's been gaining a lot of strokes on the green. That's plays well to Alex Noren. Around the green, he's very good. So this might be an Alex Noren type week, where sand play around the green, putting. So there's Alex Noren. Let's take a look at Ricky. See, because Ricky missed the cut, but he didn't play bad by any means. He didn't play bad. Bent is certainly his best surface. He's starting to come back to Ricky here. He was historically a pretty good putter. Kind of fell off. He's starting to get it back a little bit. He's at least volatile. And when I mean volatile, he's either gaining a lot or losing a lot. And you kind of like seeing that in a guy who's not just a historically good putter. If they're inconsistent, or the baseline stats say they're an average putter, it's different if you're just an average putter versus a volatile putter. And right now Ricky's a volatile putter. That means if he has one of those weeks where he just goes off, he got top 10 at the PGA at Kiowa, thanks to in large part to his putting. Now at the 3M, he was very good at putting. He just couldn't do a fuck thing else, and he's still top 35. So maybe this is a Ricky week. Short game, putting. If his irons ever come back, Ricky will be back. But I haven't seen anything that says Ricky is back. Tringali, Answer, who had a bad Shriners week. He did. He was number 1 in my statistical model. A lot of people liked him. He was the second most owned, I think, second or third most owned player in DFS, at least on DraftKings. And he just didn't play well. It's as simple as that. He had a bad week. It happens. Numbers say he should be good at putting here. I'm going to take off the fast and the lightning and the bent. Let's see who's the best around the green players. I'm going to expand this out to the last 36. Let's just take a look at around the green players, since that seems like it could be pretty important this week. Number 1 is Kevin On. He's withdrawn. So really, number 1 is Siwoo Kim. Siwoo, Brian Harmon, Harry Higgs, Ian Poulter, and Patrick Reed are your top 5 for around the green play. Probably no surprise. With Noren, Gooch, Brandon Grace, Terrell Hatton, and Matt Jones rounding out the top 10. Jordan Spieth being 11th. Okay, sure. When you combine guys that have good around the green and good putting, that's when you could see people rise to the top of my ranking. Someone like Ian Poulter, someone like Alex Noren, Brandon Grace, Jordan Spieth, Harris English. These are the types of guys that I think will probably gravitate towards the top of my leaderboard, since putting's always going to be a factor. Around the green seems to be a pretty big factor this week, and I've never been one to put a lot of stock in around the green. I think it's going to play pretty big factor this week. Let's look at distance. I want to look at distance. Fairways, greens, and sort by driving distance. So no D-Sham this week. Number 1 in distance for the last 36 rounds, Rory McIlroy, Johnny Vegas, Gary Woodland, DJ, and Jason Kokrak. Jason Kokrak is your technical defending champion. He won last year at Shadow Creek. But because this is not at Shadow Creek, he's your tournament defending champion, but I'm not putting any extra stock into him winning last year since it's a completely different course. But again, the top 5 in distance: Rory, Vegas, Woodland, DJ, Jason Kokrak, and Brooks tied for 5th with Kokrak. The rest of the top 10 is Keith Mitchell, Xander Schauffele, Sergio Garcia, and Tony Finau. And another good thing we can check on this same page, sand saves. I wanted to take a look at sand saves. Best sand saves in the past 36 rounds. You've got Mark Leishman at number 1. Nah would be number 2. He's withdrawn. So Schauffele number 2, Varner 3rd, Reed 4th, Harmon 5th, with Poulter, Henley, Noren, Cameron Smith, and Louis Oosthuizen rounding out the top 10. So you're starting to see a little bit of overlap in the around the green game, putting, sand saves. Last thing I think I want to take a look at in the initial research show, and again, stay tuned tomorrow when I really start digging into a lot of this data for the data dive. Let's look at par 5s really quickly and who just takes advantage of the par 5s. So in the last 36 rounds, you've got Xander, Paul Casey, Harris English, Cameron Tringali, and DJ are your top 5 in taking advantage of the par 5s. Then rest of the top 10 are Louis, Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Brooks Koepka, and Cameron Smith. So interesting to see some names here that you might not think of. Like Cameron Smith, he takes advantage of the par 5s, but he's also pretty good around the green. That's a pretty good combination for this week. You don't think of Colin Morikawa taking advantage of par 5s, but he does. He gets his birdies. He just doesn't go out and get eagles. So yeah, Sam Burns, another very successful week. He kind of fell flat on Sunday, but he was in position to win back-to-back. Sung Jae, who just won. So good information here. Good information. It'll be fun to see how the puzzle pieces fit together this week for the CJ Cup at the Summit Club. So with that, that's going to wrap up the initial research show. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the data dive, as I will be attempting to make the first model. Let me know, in the comments or social media, or tune in tomorrow what you think what's gonna play well here this week. Who are some guys that you're kind of thinking about off the top of your head? What data do you want to see? Because I certainly have a few angles that I'm thinking of off the start. So thanks for tuning in. And for any bets that you made this past weekend for any bets that you will make this weekend. And until tomorrow night, may all your bets be profitable.